This is the Peugeot 508 PSE. It's the best looking sport limousine. But how sporty is it really? Let's find out. The Peugeot 508 PSE is a 360 horsepower plug-in hybrid. It may only have a 200 horsepower 1.6-liter petrol engine, but there are also two electric motors to help, about 100 horsepower each. One is in the front and the other one is in the rear. So this is an all-wheel drive car, and it's got 520 Nm of torque. Even the regular 508 is a great-looking car, a perfect blend of elegant and modern. I love the claw or fang-like front day running lights as well as the striped rear lights. The side profile is more coupe than sedan. Boy, this is a fine-looking automobile. In the PSE, which stands for Peugeot Sport Engineered, they've turned up cool 211. Cranked it up like that. If I were a kid and my dad dropped me off at school in one of these, I'd probably be the new cool kid on the block. It's fascinating how much can be achieved with so little. The front bumper is virtually identical to the ordinary 508. The grille pattern is different and the air intake at the bottom has two yellow accents. And those winglets are added on separately of the bumper. From the side, we have 20-inch alloys which look beautiful for the first week and then they will be curb magnets. I have no idea who designs alloys that stick out of the tire rather than be protected by it. Also, those wheels have a tendency to collect dust inside this narrow crevice next to the spokes. This is the second PSE I'm driving and the other one had some mud stuck in there. More about the second car in a moment. Then there are two more winglets in front and behind the rear wheel. The bumper is the same like in a normal car, but Peugeot replaced the smooth bottom element with a diffuser. The exhaust tips are black instead of chrome, but they are the same size. All this is sprinkled with fluorescent yellow accents, 3 striped badges all around and yellow brake calipers. The 508 PSE interior is covered in Alcantara with yellow accents. Peugeot calls this kryptonite yellow. And there are yellow stripes at the bottom of the steering wheel. Beside the yellow stitching, the 508 PSE interior is pretty much the same as your rep spec 508, along with all the positives and negatives. In the regular 508 review, I complained there is not much headroom in the back, and there is not much footroom under the seats either. Headroom improves in the estate version, of course. The knee room is okay, but getting in and out requires some gymnastics to avoid hitting your head. Frameless windows are cool, I grant you that, but I'd go with frames and add an extra centimeter or more headroom here for getting in and out of the car. The sitting position in the front is too high. I'm 175 centimeters tall, and this is as low as the seat will go. Taller drivers will have to recline, which is neither safe for them nor comfortable for the people in the back. Behind the wheel, you feel cocooned in the bad sense of the word. It feels tighter than in the Mazda 6, although Mazda 6 has much more usable interior. The floating console was a bad idea when Volvo pushed it in its car some years ago, and it's just as bad now when I have to dive under the steering wheel to find a USB cable or my phone. Because I left my phone behind in the car at least once a day, and I have to plug it in to use Android Auto. The parking camera is now almost 360 degrees. Peugeot added a front camera, but still no cameras on the wing mirrors, so there is some computer stitching going on. Be careful if you don't want to crack those winglets or curb those alloys. The night vision system is standard, but it's pretty much useless. Suddenly, a small grainy image appears on the dash, something beeps, and before you figure out what's going on, it disappears. Better focus on the road. This is the second 508 PSE I'm driving. I arranged for a test drive of an estate version, and I picked it up and returned it as there was something dodgy about it. Peugeot was nice enough to issue me a brand new car which had just 84 kilometers on the odometer when I got in. Perhaps the car still needs a break-in period, and this is why I got 6.2 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour instead of 5.2 seconds. I was in sport mode. Surprisingly, in regular hybrid mode, I also got about 6.2 seconds. Why did I ask for the second car? The first one had over a dozen thousand kilometers on the clock, and judging by how the gearbox behaved and what condition the tires were in, it may have spent a fair bit of time on track days. Also, it had enough mud in one of the wheels to make me suspect that it may have run off the track due to worn tires. It was fine-ish in EV mode, but when it went into hybrid mode, the gearbox jerked as if someone dropped the clutch in a manual car. Taking off from the lights, the ESP light was on, and when I was braking, the ABS engaged. Also, the car understeered through tighter corners. Clearly, something was wrong. In the new one, the gearbox is less jerky, but switching from electric to petrol is far from smooth. But let's assume this is not a bug, but a feature. At least there's no problem taking off. It must have been those worn-out tires. Brakes feel dead at first due to recuperation, and then you suddenly transition into much sharper braking than you would like. Probably this is why ABS intervened all the time on the used-up tires. One thing that hasn't changed is the understeer. The 508 PSE is lovely through long, fast, smooth bends, but tight corners may leave brown states on the Alcantara. I don't know what the all-wheel drive system is doing, but it clearly isn't helping. Fraction of a second later, you start turning the wheel more and brakes bite too late and too strong. The PSE is more than 400 kilograms heavier than the ordinary 508, and that doesn't help. The adaptive suspension was great in the ordinary 508, but here it has to cope with extra mass and bigger wheels. As a result, unless you're driving on smooth tarmac, the 508 PSE feels unnecessarily stiff. It's neither comfortable, nor are you going to drive it faster through the corners. I wouldn't mind some configurable drive mode in which I could set everything to sport except for the suspension, which I would keep in comfort mode. And speaking of configuring stuff, I can configure my preferred content on the digital instrument cluster. Display modes are not correlated with drive modes, so the rev counter is available only in the individual setting rather than in sport mode. I get it, the 508 PSE is mainly hybrid, but in sport mode I'd like to see my revs. Even if the automatic gearbox doesn't hold gears at red line. Why bother with paddles then? So what's the 508 PSE good at? It's quiet. In sport mode, some fake engine noise is played from the speakers, but you're insulated from the outside noises. The seats are comfortable. Sporty or not, my back doesn't hurt after driving for several hours. Driver aids are also good, better than in Japanese or Korean cars, although not as good as in the German rivals. Despite being a 360 horsepower all-wheel drive car weighing more than 1800 kilograms, the 508 PSE is quite economical. Forget about 2 liters per 100 kilometers, but on a 500 kilometer road trip, I got about 6 liters per 100 kilometers. Beside the standard 3.7 charger, you can order an optional 7.4 kilowatt onboard charger. If you want to make full use of the electric powertrain, it's worth it. Let me explain. The Peugeot 508 PSE has an 11.5 kilowatt-hour traction battery. Theoretically, the electric range should be around 42 kilometers, but the best I got was low 30-something kilometers, and sometimes I got below 30. Once the traction battery is depleted, the car goes into regular hybrid mode, and the urban fuel consumption is around 7 liters per 100 kilometers. By the way, the fuel tank is just 42 liters, so you may want to charge as often as you can. Charging from an ordinary 230-volt socket takes about 7 hours, 4 hours from a Type 2 socket with the standard charger, and 2 hours with the upgraded 7.4 kilowatt charger. Not great, but then the BMW PHEVs only have a 3.7 kilowatt charger. You can also use eSave mode to keep a certain charge level. This, of course, will cost you more fuel. The Peugeot 508 is not a cheap car. The GT trim I reviewed more than 2 years ago cost more than 50,000 euro. This is about what a similarly spec'd ordinary PHEV costs. However, the 508 PSE starts at 66,640 euro, 1,500 more for the estate. You have to pay extra for black or white paint, grey is standard. You have to also pay extra for the faster charger and for the panoramic roof. Can you think of a reason to get this over a 15 grand cheaper Cupra Formentor which eats the 508 PSE for breakfast? Nom 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 nom. The Pug looks beautiful. But I'd like more sportiness and more practicality, or at least one of the above. And how do you like the Peugeot 508 PSE? Would you buy it to stand out from the crowd, or maybe you'd prefer something different in this price range? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.